afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Technical Sergeant Wesley Wilkerson from the 382nd Training Squadron. I will be your narrator for today's ceremony as we pay tribute to Master Sergeant Billy Hyatt Cole III. On the occasion of his retirement of 20 years of dedicated service to his country and the United States Air Force. Throughout the ceremony, there will be times when you will be asked to stand and be seated. As a reminder, during the singing of the national anthem, military members in uniform should stand at attention, and military members in civilian clothes and civilians should place their right hand over their heart. Officiating today's ceremony is the Program Director of the Biomedical Officer Management Orientation Course, Major Lakeisha Rowe. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the entrance of the official party and remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Mr. Questa Reed and the invocation by Chaplain Jenkins.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Very much in the spirit of ultrasound and of the many landscapes of Master Sergeant Cole's career, Nebraska, Florida, Korea, Japan, Kansas, Kuwait, and Texas, I want to lift up for this morning's invocation these words from the poet Pinky Gordon Lane. I invite you to join me now in a spirit of prayer. Please look to the divine of your understanding. It is the color of light, the shape of sound high in the evergreens. It lies suspended in hills, a blue line in a red sky. I am looking at sound. I am hearing the brightness of high bluffs and almond trees. I am tasting the wilderness of lakes, rivers, and streams caught in an angle of song. I am remembering water that glows in the dawn, the motion tumbled in earth, life hidden in mounds. I am dancing a bright beam of light. I am remembering love. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Ms. Reed, for that beautiful rendition of our national anthem, and Chaplain Jenkins for the invocation. Today, the men and women of the 59th Training Group and the 382nd Training Squadron pay special tribute to Master Sergeant Billy Cole on the occasion of his retirement from active duty after 20 and a half years of faithful service to the United States Air Force. The military retirement ceremony is an Air Force function steeped in military tradition and history. It is a milestone which very few of our nation's citizens ever reach, and an honor bestowed upon those few who have chosen to devote the greatest portion of their adult life to service of their country. ahead of their own interests, regardless of the uniform worn. Their service will never be forgotten. Today, we are bidding farewell and celebrating the career of Master Sergeant Billy Cole. As you all know, a successful career doesn't happen without the support and encouragement of a dedicated family. Before we proceed further, it's only fitting that we introduce Master Sergeant Cole's family. We are honored to have in attendance with us his wife, Crystal Cole. His sons, Maddox and Miles. His father, Master Sergeant retired Billy Cole Jr., and his wife, Deborah. His mother, Regina Schmidt, and her husband, Robert. His nieces, Lanaya and Layla. And his brother, Technical Sergeant Scott Cole. We'd also like to recognize all family and friends in attendance today who've come from near and far. Additionally, we would like to welcome our distinguished guests, Superintendent, 59th Training Group, Chief Master Sergeant Joseph Burbridge, Commander, 382nd Training Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Ferreri, Superintendent, 382nd Training Squadron, Chief Master Sergeant Curtis Miller, and the Career Field Manager for the Diagnostic Imaging Career Field, Chief Master Sergeant Kyle Scafidi. Finally, we extend a warm welcome to all coworkers, commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, and friends who are with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce today's presiding officer, Major Lakeisha Rowe.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sergeant Cole's retirement ceremony, or as he is affectionately called, Scooter.
Scooter.
Ms. Reed, thank you again for the national anthem and chaplain. Thank you for those inspiring words. To the team members who put this celebration together, thank you for your hard work and dedication. You all have done an amazing job making this a heartfelt, momentous event, especially considering the environment in which we are in today. Sergeant Cole, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this special day. It is a truly an honor and privilege to represent you and your family. Sergeant Cole, family, we are here for you today. To Mr. Billy and Miss Regina, thank you for instilling the family values and military traditions within your son. The husband, father, brother, airman, and friend that we honor here today is who he is because of you, so thank you. To all the other family members and friends, both here and watching from home, thank you for being a part of the long-standing support system that holds up Sergeant Cole and his family. And finally, to Crystal, Maddox, and Miles, thank you for entrusting us with him over these many years. It is because of your love and support that he has been able to achieve such a successful career. Thank you for being there through it all. Over the course of a military career, there are certain joyous occasions, celebrations, and milestones that stand up above the rest. Notable duty stations, unique job opportunities, key promotions, special awards, and duty-bound re-enlistments are just a few. However, the crowning achievement of them all is the retirement. Those among the fortunate few who make it to retirement find that they can finally exhale and say, I made it. In reflecting on Sergeant Cole's career, I find that his 20 and a half years of service is filled with numerous accolades and opportunities. He has been assigned to 6 duty locations, starting with Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, then Kunsan Air Base in South Korea. This is where he met and married Crystal in September of 2005. They only dated for about 6 months, but if you ask Sergeant Cole about it, he'll tell you, when you know, you know. Together, they moved to Kadena Air Base in Japan, followed by McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas. This is where Maddox joins the family in May of 2010. Sergeant Cole, with the family this time around, goes back to Eglin Air Force Base, in which Miles later joins the family in February of 2012. Now, here we are at Fort Sam Houston, Texas, which is the 6th and final stop of this Air Force journey. Professionally, Sergeant Cole has earned awards at the Airman Non-Commissioned Officer, Senior Non-Commissioned Officer, and Command levels. But more importantly, he's also led his teams to be recognized with those same types of accomplishments. Despite all of the accolades, if you ask Sergeant Cole what he would like his legacy to be, he would sum it all up with the following 2 things. He wants people to know that 1, he did his job to the best of his abilities, and 2, taking care of people is something that was very important to him. I can tell you that he's being very modest. Sergeant Cole has made a significant impact over the years, far greater than simply just doing his job. Under his purview, he was responsible for over 41,000 X-rays, CTs, and ultrasounds, an Air Force-wide digital radiology system upgrade, the mentoring of 101 training students, the oversight and instruction of 14,500 didactic hours, and he became a leader in the ultrasound community through career field initiatives associated with manpower, national certifications, and promotion testing. However, in order to really capture what Sergeant Cole humbly describes as just doing his job, I'd like to share some lines from his past performance reports and award citations. Positive Air Force role model, set the benchmark for others. Continuously demonstrated leadership and initiative above and beyond most senior airmen. Exceptional, professionally minded, highly skilled. Selected over his peers to train in the modality of computerized tomography or CT. Epitome of dress and appearance standards. Appearance and military bearing readily followed by peers and subordinates. Top 3% of the 8th Fighter Wing non-commissioned officers, chosen over 2,000 plus personnel for the Pride of the Pack Award. My go-to guy in a crunch. A natural leader. No challenge too difficult. Selected non-commissioned officer in charge over 2 senior non-commissioned officers. And finally, beat out 2 senior non-commissioned officers for the ultrasound phase 2 instructor position. As I'm sure everyone in this room can attest, these are not the kind of words and phrases indicative of someone simply doing their job. These comments speak volumes of the impact Sergeant Cole had not only on the Air Force mission, but on the individual lives he interacted with. Sergeant Cole did more than just show up. He made a difference. As mentioned earlier, taking care of people is the second part to Sergeant Cole's legacy. I met Sergeant Cole during our deployment to Kuwait. I was the officer in charge of the ancillary services, and he was my diagnostic imaging technician. I never had to worry about the radiology department, and I appreciated his willingness to teach me about the career field and my role as the officer in charge. Unknowingly to me, this mentorship proved to be invaluable for my next assignment. As a tech sergeant, Sergeant Cole consistently performed above his rank. He was elected among other tech sergeants to be the group's first sergeant. Although he didn't have the diamond, he was able to earn the respect from his peers and gain the trust from our leadership and the 44 members that he served. Serving as the first sergeant solidified his passion for taking care of people and would propel him to seek other opportunities in the same capacity. On a separate occasion, Sergeant Cole found himself helping out a young diagnostic imaging student by simply asking, "Is everything okay?" After a few minutes, the student opened up and revealed how he was nervous about failing an upcoming test. Sergeant Cole sat with him a little bit and also reassured him that he would do just fine. The student was also having some family issues which compounded the nervousness and anxiety. The student passed the test, but this was not the end. Sergeant Cole continued to be a resource and a mentor for him. In the end, the student retrained into a different career field and is now thriving, not only in his new career, but also in life. If Sergeant Cole hadn't asked that simple question, who knows where that airman might be today? Sergeant Cole, thank you for your 20.5 years of service. We are so very proud of you. You've crossed the finish line, and now you can grow out your beard. We are so excited to see what the future holds for you and your family in the next chapter of your life. Sergeant Cole, your time has come. Exhale, you made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Major Rowe presents Master Sergeant Cole the Meritorious Service Medal. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by the Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster, to Master Sergeant Billy H. Cole III for meritorious service 20 July 2017 to 1 November 2020. Master Sergeant Billy H. Cole III distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Program Director, Diagnostic Medical Sonography, 382nd Training Squadron, 59th Training Group, 59th Medical Wing, Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston, Texas. During this period, Sergeant Cole conducted 1,218 didactic and hands-on training hours and crafted the startup of 2 Navy Phase 2 sites. His efforts expanded the joint mission through the education of 29 students, increasing joint service student throughput 33%. Furthermore, Sergeant Cole identified a drop in ultrasound registries, leading to the design of a physics course through collaboration with a local university, increasing Air Force nationally registered sonographers by 15%. As ultrasound functional manager, he averted manning shortfalls by aiding 3 MAGCOMs with 4 recruitment projects, ultimately increasing Air Force ultrasound manning as the career field manager's strategic aim lead. He teamed with AFPC and test development sections, authoring 2 new subject knowledge promotion study guides, aligning diagnostic imaging corps focus with medical readiness requirements. Finally, Sergeant Cole's dedication to duty culminated in his selection as the 2018 Squadron Senior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year, as well as the 2019 Group Senior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Quarter. The singularly distinctive accomplishment of Sergeant Cole culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the reading of the retirement orders of Master Sergeant Billy Cole. By order of the Secretary of the Air Force and the Department of the Air Force, Special Order Number AC-012025, Master Sergeant Billy Cole is relieved from active duty. 382nd Training Squadron, Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and is retired from active duty with the United States Air Force effective 1 November 2020 in the grade of Master Sergeant, after 20.5 years of faithful and honorable duty. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Major Rowe will now present the Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America. The certificate reads as follows. Master Sergeant Billy H. Cole, United States Air Force, I extend to you personal thanks and sincere appreciation of your grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of the military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes for your happiness and success in the future. Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Major Rowe will now present Master Sergeant Cole with the Certificate of Retirement. The certificate reads as follows. To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that Master Sergeant Billy H. Cole, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of November 2020. Dave Goldfein, Chief of Staff. John J. DeGoes, Major General, Commander, 59th Medical Wing. The Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. The certificate reads as follows. I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of your great service. Your retirement is well-deserved, but your selfless contribution will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Caleb O. Wright, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Master Sergeant Cole also received congratulatory letters from former President George W. Bush and Mayor Ron Nirenberg of San Antonio. These items are on display for viewing after the ceremony in the back of the room. Ms. Cole, will you please come forward and join your husband and affix the retirement pin, which signifies Master Sergeant Cole's proud service to duty and country. The retirement pin signifies your induction to the ranks of men and women who bravely stood watch while others peacefully rested. Not many know the blood, sweat, and tears you have seen, but rest assured, you embody the proud tradition of honor and legacy of valor whose spirit will live on for generations to come. You got to stay up here. All right, Ms. Cole, we are pleased to present you with the following certificate of appreciation from the Commander, 59th Medical Wing. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents the certificate of recognition to Crystal C. Cole for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service given this first day of November 2020, signed Major General John DeGoes, Commander, 59th Training Wing. Dave. Also, we'd like to present a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. On behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents the certificate of appreciation to Crystal C. Cole. I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service in defense of our nation. Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Caleb O. Wright. Maddox and Miles, will you please join your mom and Scooter at the front? Your dad will now present you with the Military Children's Medals and Certificates. Throughout the years of your life, you had made sacrifices and served your country as much as I have done. In your loving way, you quietly shouldered the heavy burden that you were asked to carry. Most of the time, you could not understand why I was not there, but you quietly hid the tears, courageously put on a smile, and defiantly promised that you would support me. You were then, as now, one of the most important parts of my life, and in it, your love that enabled you to assure me that what I was doing was important. I missed so many holidays and countless special occasions, while you were left at home to worry while I was on difficult missions. You had to say goodbye to friends when we moved throughout the years, and you had to change schools. Your resilience and self-confidence throughout those frequent moves gave me strength. I am proud of you, for it was your love and support that sustained me in those difficult times. There's no way, in my mind, that I could have been successful in the military without having your support. Your understanding, and most importantly, your unquestionable love. Thank you for being there for me. Now we'll be presenting the Military Parent Medal and certificates. The Military Parent Medal is my way of saying you were then, as now, one of the most important parts of my life. It was your understanding, love, and assurance that enabled me to know that what I was accomplishing was important. Thank you for being there for me. Mr. Billy Cole Jr. and his wife Deborah, please come forward. Get a picture. Mrs. Regina Schmidt and her husband Robert, can you please come forward? In appreciation for Master Sergeant Cole's dedication to the United States Armed Forces, Sergeant Brunson and HM1 Koch will conduct a flag-folding ceremony in his honor. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14th, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the Stars and Stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on the U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans have been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom, at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It represents the freedom we all share and the pride and the patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. Thank you, Sergeant Brunson and HM1 Colk. We'd like to now present Master Sergeant Cole with a few gifts in appreciation of his service. Master Sergeant Cole, will you please come forward? Right.
Want to break here, buddy. So I know he tries to hide out and didn't want this done to him, but he knows it's coming. So what we done, we always give instructors something specific to you and highlight some of your attributes, I would say, or your attitude. So what we've done, the whole team has signed this. You haven't seen it yet, but this is you in caricature. All right. Everything has a meaning on it. Of course, the golf, which according to Mitchell, you still got to work on, so you got plenty of time to retirement. Being an ultrasound guru, the ultrasound's floating in your hand. You met it, so you've defeated it. You are no longer a gladiator here. You've passed on, right, to the next level. And you are a Titans and Tennessee fan. So this is you in a nutshell. So if everybody will take a look at it, you can actually see. It fits, 100%. All Sergeant Cole right there. Only we knew about the scooter before.
Right. I'm telling you. I love it. I
I'm
love
going
it.
to toss the scooter up in there. All right, what's next is something that's always important for every retiree. And we adopted this from the history. Anybody that looks up the Shadow Box history, it actually came from the Navy when they came off the boats. they would pack all their stuff up because they didn't want the shadow box to touch ground before they did. So that's why it's considered shadow box is a reflection of your career. I don't want you to look back on it as a sad part of your career. You heard Major Rowe, everything you've done. You're a phenomenal NCO, phenomenal friend. You're even a Titans fan, which is even better, right? I don't know about the Tennessee part, but we'll get with that. But,
All two of you.
there's your shadow box. So on behalf of the team, right, so you don't drop it. And you think that's everything for you, right? You think so? Last thing I want to do is fall over. Right. So we all know that Master Sergeant Cole recently purchased a house, and anybody that follows him sees the animals he has in the backyard. His little, what'd you call it? Your little paradise? Your sanctuary where you go to have zen and relax. Well, the team got together, and we know that that's something you like to do. And we noticed when we were out there a couple times that there's nowhere for the drinks to sit in. It's always that little cooler on the ground. And I know you're getting old, the back and everything. Right? So the team got together, and we have something for you. So now you no longer have to worry about sitting on the cooler and people sit back up. And it's already insulated, as you can see. Nothing in it, sorry, we couldn't bring it in. My bad. Budget cuts, COVID, you know, we figured you could fill it up. But this is what the team got for you.
Ladies and gentlemen. Scooter, why are you staring at me? You gotta stay center stage if that's what you were waiting on. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present to you Master Sergeant Billy H. Cole III, United States Air Force, retired.
First off, thanks for everyone coming out. I know with COVID and all that stuff, a lot of people couldn't be here. It's just truly humbling to know that all you guys would take the time to come out and celebrate with us on this momentous occasion. I do want to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, none of this would be possible. To the chaplain, thank you, sir, for that beautiful invocation. Ms. Tequesta Reed, Telequal, Taquita. I'll get to that a little bit later on that, but thank you so much for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. She didn't want to at first, but I begged and pleaded with her. And I'm her supervisor too, or was a supervisor, so made that happen. Colonel Ferreri, sir, thank you for coming out. Chief, thank you. Chief Scafidi, thank you for taking time to come all the way from Lackland and be with us here today. Chief Burbert, thank you for taking time, sir. Glad you're here. All my family and friends who are here and who are watching via Facebook Live, thank you for coming. Again, I know COVID put a damper on a lot of things, but I'm just thankful we were able to have a ceremony today. So I brought these tissues up here because it's going to be a tearjerker for me. So if I can get my golf buddies, just give me an attaboy or something when you start seeing me. That too. Before I forget, I just want to thank the staff for making this possible. Every member of our flight, Sergeant Wilkerson, Major Rowe, thank you very much for stepping in for us. Those beautiful words that you said about me. So thank you very much. I know Sergeant Miranda, Sergeant Ellis, Sergeant Diaz, Sergeant Zamudio, just everybody who had a part in it, thank you so much. 20 years went by real quick. And throughout that time, you run into a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that have an effect on your career. So I just want to run through a list of a few names who I'd like to call out as those who helped me along the way. Starting at Eglin Air Force Base, I had my first supervisor, Staff Sergeant at the time, Celia Hermish, who is in the audience. She's here. She does live in San Antonio, so it was easy for travel for her. Scotty, you got the thing I asked you to get? Oh, yes. So, she probably doesn't remember this. I was an airman in first class. Me and some friends were getting ready to go to Daytona Beach for the weekend. And Celia, she came that Friday before we left and said, "Hey, I got something for you." And I opened it up, and these are actually it too. A pair of binoculars. She's like, as your supervisor, I want you to stay away from the girls. And so you just look at them from afar with these binoculars. So that's a true wingman and true supervisor right there. Yes, I've held on to these the whole time. But thank you for setting the foundation for me in my Air Force career. All the stuff that you taught me, all the things that we went over, it's got me here. So thank you. Her husband, at the time too, Staff Sergeant Joel Hermish, he taught me everything I needed to know in CT for the short time I was there, because then I had to go to Korea, so I couldn't do CT over there. So thank you, Joel. Remember all those golf days that we had, and we should hopefully can get back out there and do some more. All my supervisors that were at Eglin too, thank you. Kunsan. I landed in Kunsan. We actually landed in Osan, had to be bused to Kunsan. I got off the bus and met my supervisor there. At the time, Tech Sergeant Dale Avery, who's also here. He got me all situated and said, "I'll see you at 7 o'clock at the club. We're drinking tonight." No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like your typical Korea stuff. We had a few drinks and laughs, but in a radiology department at Kunsan, there was just two of us, and we sat right next to each other. So I learned so much from you, Sergeant Avery. So much so that you put me on some old school rap and R&B, the OJs. I mean, it's back when you had to make the discs. He made those for me, so he schooled me on all that stuff. But I didn't spend that much time with you because he had his mid tour and then he was gone. But I appreciate everything you did for me, sir. And after that, I had Sean Taylor who entered the mix. He was tech sergeant at the time, and he's the one that actually got me into the TSP. I had been 4 or 5 years without TSP, and talked to me about that. But he also introduced me to somebody. But I'm gonna get to her a little bit later. Made it to Kadena. There were so many people at Kadena that Crystal and I met. One of my mentors, I got the opportunity to be an executive assistant, basically what Crystal called a man secretary job for the Med Group commander at the time. They were in search of a secretary. So I got to sit up there for a few months. And then Chief Master Sergeant Kevin Vegas, who was the group chief at the time, he asked me to stay for the remainder of my year that I had there. So I learned so much from him. Unfortunately, him and his wife couldn't be here today. But the mentorship, the friendship, he was a true servant leader. And even now today, every month, I usually get a text from him or a call or something, just checking in on me and the kids and Crystal. One story about him, we were at McConnell and he was at Tinker. He was the wing command chief at Tinker. And I asked him to come up and pin me on for tech sergeant. Well, he said that was his wing's promotion ceremony that day too. And he had to be there, but he made it a point to come to mine, 3-hour drive up and spend some time with us. So I'm forever grateful for him. There's a few other people that were at Kadena, and we call these, they're really good friends. Dario and Gio, and Natalia. Natalia wasn't around back then, but Dario and Gio became family. He worked in the med group too. The first night I met him, though, I didn't like him. But there was something about him I didn't like. But I think that's how it all happens, right? You don't like the person, and then you become friends, and then it's more than friends. They live in Laredo now, and so every once in a while we get to meet up with them, either here or there. They're true friends, and I'm glad you guys were able to make it. Thank you.
Sorry about the spaghetti sauce.
That's for another time, buddy. Oh, let's see. We got to McConnell Air Force Base. When we got that assignment, I went to woke Crystal up. It's like, hey, we got an assignment to McConnell. She's like, there's a base in Kansas? Or no, Kentucky. There's a base in Kentucky? I was like, no, babe, Kansas. So, okay. So we made it to Kansas, and there I had a flight chief by the name of Janice Fott, and her last name of Fott, she was a fighter. I had an incident, not an incident, but there was 3 squadrons, and they wanted one person from each squadron to go do TCN duty. Well, Maddox was going to be born the day that we were supposed to leave, and the other 2 squadrons said, hey, we got plenty of people to take that, no worries. But my commander, for some reason, she said, no, he's going. He's the only one qualified. Like, how are you qualified for TCN duty? I have no idea. But Sergeant Fott, she fought for me. She went into the commander's office, talked to her, and when she came out, it wasn't a pretty thing, but I did not deploy that time. And so I have to thank her for a lot of things, but I was able to see the birth of my son. So for that, I'm very appreciative. Also at McConnell, we had some great friends, TJ Hoffma, Quentin Sterling, the Rosenfelds, the softball team that we were on. I mean, just a bunch of great people. When we first got to McConnell, I bought a house, and not too long after that, we got non-balled for ultrasound, which that meant I wasn't coming back to McConnell. Well, we just bought a house, so what are we supposed to do? So my first day of ultrasound school down here, I tell my students this all the time, every class. I sat in a certain seat, and I said, my first question was, what happens if we fail out? And they said, oh, you just go back to your base. Gotcha. To have to do a foreclosure or a short shell or go back home. But I'm not that type of person, so I stuck it out. And I go from being someone asking those questions to a phase 2 instructor, to a program director, and the associate career field manager ultrasound. I had another stint at Eglin where I had people like supervisors like Master Sergeant Person, Chief Tabor, my ultrasound crew, Jesse Thomas, David Whiting, Oscar Zamudio, the list goes on. Very thankful to have all those folks in my life too. Then we get to Fort Sam here, and I thought this was going to be the end, but then once I got here, I said, man, I enjoy this. I love teaching, love being a part of the students, things like that. Was the career field or education program director, so I oversaw the phase 2 stuff. Then I got the opportunity to be the functional associate career field manager and program director. And Chief Scafidi, thank you so much for allowing me to step into that role. Learned so much from you over the last year plus. All our phone conversations, our text messages back and forth. And Chief Scafidi, he's awesome. I can just pick up a phone, send him a text, hey, are you busy? And then boom, he's calling. So thank you, sir, for that opportunity. I also have my crew here, Sergeant Wilkerson. Sergeant Reyes isn't here anymore, and Sergeant Jeffords isn't here anymore, but Sergeant Wilkerson, thank you for stepping up. You've been a phenomenal troop over the last few years. He has really been. So thank you for everything. Our families have become friends over the last few years too, and I'm glad you're getting to stay at Lackland, and we get to continue this thing on. I buy stuff for my house to put in the house, and he's like, what are we buying this week? Colonel Ramos isn't here today. He was former commander here. Maybe go to him, it's question after question after question, but he keeps you on your toes. I spent 3 weeks as the first sergeant, and the first thing he asked was, so what do you look to get out of these few weeks? Put me on the spot. I didn't know what, I thought I was just coming in to fill a role. But he kept me on my toes, and I had to tell him what I was here for. And so I learned a lot from him. Learned a lot from you too, Chief Burbrick. Thank you so much for allowing me to sit in for you as a superintendent a couple times. Learned a lot with that, and I'm forever grateful for that too. Still on my team here, Miss Reed, Miss Tequesta Reed. I talked to you guys a little bit earlier about Telequal and all that stuff, and her name's Tequesta. But every time we get visitors in, either somebody trying to sell us a machine or whatever, they're like, oh, is it Telequal or Taquita? Or so, depending on what mood she's in, she's either Telequal or Taquita or something like that. But she's always been a friend, always someone we go to, and she's really the what holds our program together. She's been here the longest out of all of us, and I couldn't have done this without you, so thank you for your help. The rest of the team, Miranda, Sergeant Ellis, Sergeant Diaz, Sergeant Sadler, who am I missing? Sheely, Herbies, Zamudio. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for being a great team. I wasn't gonna say this, but thank you guys for the flag folding ceremony. I was gonna say that, but there's a part in there I was gonna say. Sergeant Brunson, he's done a few flag folding ceremonies for me in the past for some of the retirement ceremonies that I've done. But this is HM1 Coke's first time. And I told HM1 Coke back in the fall, if the Titans beat the Ravens in the championship game, he was going to be my flag folder. So that's what I wasn't gonna say. But sorry, Coke. My golf buddies, John Decker, Marty Bucker, Joel Berry, thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of your team on the weekends. I know we had our days back in Okinawa. I ride in the cart with John Decker, who's former Chief Master Sergeant, and he asks me questions all the time. We have some heart-to-hearts. Even when he breaks his club off the tree, we have some heart-to-hearts. Things like that. But if you want to know the real reason I'm retiring, it's those guys right there. Because they're always, every weekend, hey, you hit the button yet? You hit the button yet? No, I'm just kidding. They're not the reason. Thank you, guys. I look forward to many more weekends of golf. Appreciate you. All right. This is going to be the hard part here. Give me a second. I know I'm long. Sorry. To my family. First, my in-laws, they couldn't be here today due to COVID as well, but thank you for allowing me to take your daughter around the world, and just thank you for everything. All my aunts and uncles, Uncle Terry, Aunt Rhonda, Uncle Robbie, Brian, David, you guys all been supportive of me over the last 20 years. I know you're watching through this way, but appreciate everything you've done for me. My little brother, he's not little, he's bigger than me. Tech Sergeant Scott Cole, he's stationed at Langley. He was able to come out. I'm so impressed with all the stuff that he's done. Made Tech Sergeant really, really quick. And he's leading the shop in an intel squadron. Funny story, I was deployed and my commander at the time was getting ready to go to Shaw to have a meeting, and Scotty was there. And I asked her, I was like, hey, can you give him my first sergeant coin? And then can you also give him this? And I handed her a pink camel. It said, someone in Kuwait loves me. Just as a joke. I didn't think this full-bird colonel was gonna do that, but she did. So she sent back a picture, and he's got a uniform with a coin and a pink camel and everything. So I couldn't give you the coin personally, but I want to give you this top 3 coin here today, okay? My sister could not be here. She was a 4N early on. She did the NECP program, and now she's a captain nurse at Eglin Air Force Base. She wasn't able to attend, but I'm so super proud of her and all her accomplishments that she's done. Being a single mom too can be a difficult thing, but nothing makes an older brother more proud than the stuff that she's done. But my 2 nieces are here. And so I want to have them, Layla and Anaya, please come up. To my mom and Robert, you guys have been there the whole time pretty much of my career. Always calling and checking on me, taking care of our kids when we need somebody. Again, like Major Rowe was saying, I couldn't, I'm not the man who I am today without you. So I appreciate everything you did. To my dad and Debbie. My dad's retired Air Force. We're actually 3rd generation Air Force. So we come from a long line of military folks. I told you last year, and I'll continue to tell you till whenever. You're my hero. You always will be. And I'm here today because of you. And Debbie, thank you for supporting him and us. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention 3 people that couldn't be here today. One's Lillian K. Cole, who's my grandmother. Billy Cole Sr., my grandfather. And Willard Boltez, my other grandfather. Willard Boltez is Chief Master Sergeant, retired. Spent 33 years in the Air Force. He made chief in 16 years. He was asked to come to the Pentagon to interview for the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force job back in the day. And being the man that he is and wanting to continue, not a political person, wanting to continue to be in his shop, he told him basically to shove it. Master Sergeant retired Billy Cole. They were in Germany together, and they just moved from one base to another in Germany, and they worked in the same kind of area but different. And so when they made that move, my one grandfather told my other one, "Hey, can you when you come in here to inspect us, just tear us up, write us up." So that's what he did. So they were at the time worst in USAFE. About a year later, my grandfather came back to do another inspection, and now we're best in USAFE. That's being a wingman right there. You do this for me and come back and do the other thing. Maddox and Miles. I'm so proud of you boys. Every day I look forward to waking up and seeing your faces, watching you play video games, because I don't play video games. I know I've been gone quite a bit, but now it's time for us, okay? Love you guys. And if you remember back in Korea, I mentioned I met somebody there. It's my wife, Crystal. We met through a mutual friend, and then I coached softball. I kept talking to everybody, and I kept seeing this girl. She's staring at me like she's staring at me right now. It's like, what is this girl? She's pretty hot, too. So we met in May. Met in May and married in September that year. She had an assignment to Italy, and I had an assignment to Kenya. She was 6 months behind me. She always says I owe her Italy. She's supposed to be married to an Italian man. But I promised her after retirement, after COVID and everything's done, that we will go to Italy. And so that's my gift to you. Thank you for always being there. You keep me on the straight and narrow. I'll come home stressing about something. She's like, why are you stressing about that? So she's always been my rock. And I'll give you some flowers here. Almost done, I promise. I'm gonna leave everybody with one last thing. And our students know this very well. We have a quote that we put on the board each and every day. And I always give the first quote, their first day there. And it's an old African proverb, and it's to go fast, go alone, to go far, go together. And with my family, my friends, co-workers, leaders, everybody in this room, everybody watching on Facebook, we've all went together and we made it this far. Thank you everybody for coming out. Please enjoy the cake and the food in the back. And Billy Cole out.
The men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with Master Sergeant Billy Cole and wish him and his family every success in their future endeavors. Please rise for the departure of the official party. This concludes today's ceremony. We invite everyone to stay for the reception in the back of the room. Thank you for attending, and we wish you all a pleasant day. Go Scooter.